Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told out of Voice of Radio. So today, I'm here to answer a question and give my thoughts on something that has been brought to me attention many times over the past few weeks and months, and that is there any possibility that we do not see a Pokémon TCG rotation this year? Now, one thing I do need to make very, very clear at the beginning: we don't know. And that's really important. There has been no announcement. We have no reason to believe really one way or the other, although we'll go through the arguments as we go through. But no, there's no real reason to believe we won't have a rotation because we've had one every year for the past 12 years. Well, there are reasons to believe we wouldn't, but there is absolutely no proof whatsoever, just theories with no basis other than, hey, this kind of makes sense. But then again, we haven't had a rotation announced yet, so there's no guarantee. So, where's this all coming from? And generally speaking, there are a couple of reasons why people believe there might not be a rotation. One reason is, where's the announcement? There hasn't been an announcement, and I'm seeing a bunch of people suggesting that the fact that we haven't had an announcement of a rotation could suggest that actually there is not going to be a rotation. Well, I can tell you right now, the fact that there's no announcement tells us absolutely nothing one way or the other. And the reason is very simple. If there wasn't going to be a rotation, there would be an announcement that there isn't going to be a rotation. So I keep hearing people saying, well, see, they haven't announced a rotation yet. That might mean there isn't one. No. Because if there wasn't going to be one, there would be an announcement. Yes, the announcement usually comes down by May, and the fact that we haven't had a rotation announcement yet is absolutely strange and weird, and the rotation announcement is late. No argument there at all. That is a perfectly fair statement. I'm sitting here recording this video on the 9th of June. I made my rotation announced video last year on April the 21st. So what that means is we are like 6 weeks later than the announcement should have happened given last year's timing. I am absolutely in agreement with everybody who says the announcement is late. But that doesn't mean there isn't going to be a rotation, because if there wasn't going to be a rotation, there would be an announcement. For instance, every 3 months, every time a new set is revealed or released, we get a ban list update. And for a few sets in a row, including Brilliant Stars, because that's the easiest one I could find the page, we have had an announcement saying, standard format, no changes have been made to the banned card list for the standard format. Expanded format, no changes have been made to the banned card list for the expanded format. Even when no changes are made to the ban list, there is still an update. There is still an announcement telling us that no changes have been made. Now, in terms of no rotation, there has been one example in the past, and I was actually playing long enough that this did impact me. There was 1 year where we didn't actually rotate. 2008 to 2009, the format was Diamond and Pearl to Rising Rivals. And then we didn't rotate, meaning that the 2009 to 2010 format was Diamond and Pearl to Unleashed. So we actually had 2 years in a row that were, to use the phrasing we generally see, Diamond and Pearl on. I.e. every set from Diamond and Pearl forwards was actually legal for tournament play. Which is kind of cool, right? It was nice, we all got to keep our cards for a little bit longer, and this was lovely and all of that. But there was an announcement. According to Bulbapedia, there was an announcement on June the 8th, 2009, that there was not going to be a rotation. For what it's worth, the year before, the announcement was June the 6th, 2008, so there is every possibility that we get the rotation announcement very, very soon. Because as I'm recording this, it's June the 9th, which is right in that window, so although admittedly we are talking like 15 years ago. My point is, we have not had a rotation before, but we had an announcement telling us. So Put it very simply, the fact that we've not had an announcement on a rotation gives us absolutely no information whatsoever as to there not being a rotation, because one way or another there is going to be an announcement that's very, very important. Now, if we have a rotation, and I still believe that we will, although, there's no real announcement one way or the other, it's going to be Regulation Mark E onwards, which means it's going to be Battle Styles onwards, and we know that because we've got regulation marks, and now we know that we're just going up by one regulation mark every time. So we're currently on Regulation Mark D onwards, that is to say Sword and Shield on, and we're going to be moving to Regulation Mark E onwards. So why do people think there's not going to be a rotation? Well, part of the reason is we've not had a World Championships for a while. The last World Championships we actually had was won by Henry Brand, and that was won by Mewtwo and Mew. That is to say, one with a deck that wasn't based around Sword and Shield sets. Because we didn't have Sword and Shield sets. The 2019 World Championships was held from the August the 16th to August the 19th in 2019, and the Sword and Shield TCG was released in February 2020. What that means is we've never actually had a Worlds format with Sword and Shield legal, and there could be a rotation before Worlds. Sometimes it's before, sometimes it's after. As it stands at the moment, we don't actually know. We're going to have to wait and see. But my point is, as it stands at the moment, we've basically gone quite a lot of sets. We hadn't had Sword and Shield at all when we had our last World Championships. This World Championships in London, we're going to be playing with, well, if it's legal, Sword and Shield 11. If it's not, Sword and Shield 10. Because of the whole damn panic, and because we've had so long without tournaments, we have missed a lot of events, including a lot of Worlds, so it would kind of make sense to put the rotation off for a year in order to let us play with these cards a little bit more and have more big tournaments with them. We've only had one international championship in a couple of years, so it would make sense. But then again, does Pokemon care about that? And I think there are absolutely some people in the company that do, but you've got to think about what is actually, important for Pokemon. You've got to think about what is their goal. And obviously, they're a profit-making company. The number one goal has got to be making money. And I don't say this as an insult or anything silly like that. I say it as a description. It is, like the majority of companies, a profit-making company, which means that their goal is making profit. And one of the ways you do that is releasing, for a trading card game, you release new sets and new cards that people need. If we end up repeating the format for years, we might end up in a format where people aren't buying new cards, and that is absolutely not what Pokemon wants. They want us buying new cards when they're releasing new sets. Here's the thing, though. We had a look at the rotation the other day, and if we look, someone like PokeStats over on Twitter is a great place to look. Cards from pre-Battle Styles, Regulation Mark D cards, they are not making up decks right now. If we go and look, the Late Night 41, for instance, that was just the most recent big-ish tournament reported on PokeStats, 320 players. Look down that list of cards. All of those main attackers, they are all Regulation Mark E onwards. I don't think I'm missing anyone. If I'm missing something stupid, let me know in the comment section. These are cards that aren't rotating out. In fact, the big loss on rotation is going to be the Inteleon engine. Now, they're not really attackers, but they are absolutely crucial to an awful lot of decks. That Drizzile and that Inteleon from Sword and Shield are big. Similarly, Quick Ball is going to impact it. But basically what I'm saying is the big loss on rotation is going to be consistency cards like Inteleon, Drizzile, and Quick Ball, rather than attackers, because Dialga, Palkia, Malamar, Blissey, Mew, Regigigas, Duraludon, these are all cards which will survive any impending rotation, so we don't really need to worry about them. Actually, I tell a lie, there is one card that you may have noticed there that will get hit by the rotation, and that is Malamar V Max. That is proving to be a very, very top deck at the moment with something like Arceus, and that one will actually be hit by the rotation. That one will leave. But that's not the only Arceus build out there. This is a good deck, and a deck that's seeing a bunch of play, but we're not talking, some huge powerhouse deck that's winning everything, just a good, solid deck that's having a fair amount of success, and that's it. That is the only real deck that is being rotated. And even then, Arceus has got like a billion other partners it can use. So my point is, the rotation wouldn't really hurt the decks we're playing, it would just hurt the consistency of some of the decks we're playing. And that is a very strong argument for not having a rotation. Because it wouldn't really affect the good attackers, it would just affect the consistency. So we're all still going to be buying Astral Radiance because, have a look at this list again, Dialga and Palkia are top decks from Astral Radiance that are coming out here being good. Regigigas is from Astral Radiance and it's sitting out there being really good. So look, there are reasons to believe we won't have a rotation. The fact of the matter is, it wouldn't change the format that much in terms of attackers, just consistency cards, and there's a strong argument to keep consistency. Maybe the fact that the announcement's coming later, but I really don't buy that, at all. We've missed out on a lot of tournaments, so having these cards for a bit longer, giving us a chance to play with these cards for a bit longer is a really good thing. But there's nothing really concrete to suggest that we're not going to have a rotation. Nothing at all. And like I've said, the late announcement really doesn't tell us anything because we're going to have an announcement if we're not having a rotation. Now, let's be super clear, because I want to be really, really clear about this before the comments get taken up arguing with stuff I never said. I am not saying that we're not having a rotation. Not at all. I am saying there is no concrete evidence at all to suggest we're not having one. There are reasons to believe it's a good idea not to have one. It's been too long without tournaments. The format wouldn't be impacted that much in terms of non-consistency cards, and we kind of want to keep the consistency cards. But the fact of the matter is, we have had a rotation every single year with the sole exception of 2009 when we kept Diamond and Pearl on. Pokemon likes rotating. Pokemon like introducing 4 sets a year and getting rid of 4 sets a year. Although, to be clear, that's not... They have said in the past that's what they want to do. It's not a hard and fast rule. And the number one reason to believe there is going to be a rotation is there's always a rotation. The card game is designed to have a rotation. The card game for years has been made to introduce 4 sets a year and get rid of 4 sets a year. And we've seen what's happened with all the ban lists coming down and expanded. Things go wrong very quickly. Hey, there's a new format coming. There's a new generation coming with Scarlet and Violet. Maybe that means we wouldn't rotate. Yeah, remember what happened when Black and White came out? It introduced new rules. New blocks in the TCG generally tend to come with new rules. And we had an emergency rotation to Heart, Gold, Soul, Silver onwards because we literally broke the game. So, to be clear, we don't know one way or the other. But until we do know one way or the other, the prevailing theory has got to be the game is designed for rotation. We have a rotation every year. And we've not been given anything other than pure speculation to believe that there won't be a rotation this year. If there's not going to be a rotation, we will get an announcement. So the lack of an announcement really does mean nothing at this stage. And don't get me wrong, I would actually quite like not having a rotation this year. Because the only really impactful cards we're losing are consistency cards, and I've always been a fan of consistent formats, I would love to not have a rotation. And I'm not saying we're not going to have a rotation, and I'm not saying we are going to have a rotation. I'm just saying we've had one every single year since 2001 with a lone exception that was over a decade ago, and we've not been given any reason to believe that's going to change to now. But I would love to hear from you guys. Tell me what you think about this. Give me your theories. Tell me if you want a rotation. Tell me if you think there is going to be a rotation. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at Lawasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.